Okay, everyone. Sorry about that. Now, everyone that's coming in from the first live, I apologize totally because with StreamYard, it was drawing a lot of actual footage. Uh-oh. Doing a lie here. Hopefully folks will come in. If I need to, I might have to in this. Y'all coming in. Uh-oh, I haven't been live so long. Okay, well, it is what it is. We're just going to do it how we do it on the fly. Okay, so I apologize to everyone. Come on and check in. I'm sorry. I apologize, everyone. The StreamYard was drawing a lot, and we have a lot of smart devices, so I apologize. So thank you for joining me. Thank you guys for your patience. So I don't want to burn a lot of your time. And what I wanted to say about removing items off your credit report. What you want to focus on is finding errors in your credit report, because when it comes down to the credit bureaus, they must report everything 100% accurate and complete. Don't think because you have credit items, they are mandatory required to report it. Many of them would say that, but that is not correct. They are not mandated to report items. This is why your federal government actually put laws in place on what they can report. So thank you for everyone coming back in. I appreciate you guys. Now, when you want to remove a negative item, you want to find errors in that reporting, because that's very important in order to remove that negative item. But along with the layers of with the bureaus, they try to prevent your disputes coming in, especially when you have help. There's nothing wrong with credit repair companies, but many a times you must understand the credit system. With the credit bureaus, they're selling your information, they're selling your data, because that's all they are. They only strictly collect data, and then they sell it to the banks, because banks make money off of interest. That's how they primarily make their money. So with banks, the more negative information that you have on your credit report, the less they have to lend you in a credit line, and they can make you pay higher interest and justify it because of your credit report. And because they make more money with less risk, what they do by justifying doing that, they use your credit report as a reason why. And what happens, they pay the credit bureaus more money for credit profiles with just enough negative information so they can charge you more in interest, and it's more profitable for the banks. Now, also understand when it comes down to the banks, when you have good credit, guess what? Anyone will lend to you, and there's more competition and you have more of an advantage. So they can't charge you as much interest. And so with higher echelon credit profiles, they don't pay as much from the credit bureaus. So it's really those subprime profiles they pay more money for. So just understand. You said I had to look on your main channel. Okay. Thank you so much, you guys, for the extra effort to coming through the live. And I apologize once again for my technical issues that I had earlier. So when it comes down to your information on your credit profile, you want to do two things. Find, number one, as many errors as you can. And number two, you want, when you're sending in that dispute, because they have eOscar. It is an AI system to prevent companies such as credit repair companies disputes coming in because they don't want you guys to have the actual help, and it's not in their best interest to remove negative items. What you should do is add an affidavit with your dispute. And an affidavit simply is a sworn statement, basically swearing who you are. Those kind of affidavits. Now, you're not swearing to whether the items are true or not to your credit report, because understand, that's none of their business. Not, you really don't owe them anything. They're selling your information, and they're the ones that have to be compliant, not you. You really, with them, don't have to be compliant. But the only reason why they ask for your social security number, I mean, your social security card and your ID and a utility bill, this is supposed to justify them knowing that it's you. But yet and still, when you sometimes send out your dispute, or if you have work with a credit repair company, you might have received something back in the mail. With Experian sends this out a lot. We see that this is coming from a credit repair company, and they'll tell you you have to dispute for yourself. Now, using the affidavit, what that does, because with that, you're taking it to a notary. And what you're doing is getting it notarized by someone who's been appointed by your state as an official to notarize and to swear by your identity. So adding on a affidavit, if they try to even say it's not you, they cannot, because you sent a sworn affidavit with a state stamp. So many a times, if you do get a reply, you can call in and talk to an agent and tell them, I sent an affidavit on top of my dispute. Now, you don't have to keep getting a different affidavit notarized. You can make a copy and attach it to your dispute. Now, what's important when it comes to finding errors in your credit report is not a one size fit all. Some of the things that you need to find, especially when it comes to reporting, you need to look across all three major credit reports, because understand, all the information that they're getting and reporting on you is coming from one source, which is the original creditor. That's who's giving them that information. So if someone is giving a story about events that is happening to you, or you got into an altercation with the police, or and well, you got into an altercation, and let's say the police was called, it was between you and that other person, you and the original creditor. If the police get a report in their chain of events, the story should be the same coming from them, even when they say it to another officer, because they're getting it from the source. But what you will find out with the credit bureaus is coming from one source, what they're saying, the chain of events of what happened. But when you look at different credit reports, you'll see all different type of information that is not the same. Some of these things will be balances, the high credit balance. You may even see the balance if it's a charge off. If it is a charge off, report into your credit report, and it's being sold to a collection company, or you see a collection from that charge off, many a times you'll see a balance still on that charge off. So say if you owed $5,000 and it's still reporting a balance on that charge off of $5,000. but now it's a collection for $5,000. Well, if I owed $5,000 on the charge off and now you're saying $5,000 on the collection, you're reporting a debt of $10,000 from one credit item. And that's incorrect. Anytime they have a charge off and they sell it to a collection company, the balance have to be at zero. Okay. So you want to have the balance at zero, because what in many of times, if you're going to apply for other credit, it's debt to income, how much income, or DTI. If now there's a $10,000 debt being created of a charge off and a collection, that's taking $10,000 away from your income of what you owe or what you can afford. Because when the system pick it up, because many of these original creditors don't have eyes on, or when you're going to apply to the banks, they're not really having people examine your credit profile to say, oh, well, it's an error here. No, now they have everything automated. Even on their side, they have AI systems that approve you. So anything that seems off, you can just be rejected without any real examination of your application. And so it would look like that you got $10,000 worth of debt when really it's a $5,000 debt that you have there. So when you have any charge offs on your credit report and a collection connected to that charge off, it has to be a zero balance on that charge off. And it should have notes at the bottom saying that this was sold to a collection company or this debt has been sold. So that is that's like a double jeopardy that they can cause on your credit report. Another big item that I see now to keep your credit reports down, why your credit reports won't go up with charge offs and collections, you'll see, especially with collections, they're reporting a late payment every month on a collection to ding you. Thank you guys for coming in. I appreciate it. And so is the somebody asked, Sergeant King said, is the charge off the same as close? I'm going to answer that question. That's a very good question. So he said, is a charge off the same as being closed? No. And a lot of people say this a lot. I have a lot of closed accounts. A closed account in good standing is not a negative. And a lot of people say I have old closed accounts. No, old closed accounts, if they were in good standing, that is a positive. You definitely want to keep those on. So any account, if you paid for a car and you closed that account and it had majority good payments, you might even have one missed payment down the line, and say you had that, a loan for 5 years, you would not want to necessarily dispute that whole account off, because that is helping with your payment history and age of credit. So especially with accounts that had all good payments on time that closed, that's just a closed account. And if it is positive reporting, that's a positive closed account. Now, if it says charge off, account closed by creditor, the problem is the charge off. Now, sometimes you have credit cards. I'll be honest, I had a credit card that just closed on me. It was actually like a furniture account, revolving credit account. The account closed, and it really didn't take a big hit to my utilization, but on my credit report now, they chose to close that account because I wasn't late. But if we're in the middle of a down economic turn. If you're not using those credit lines, they try to minimize their risks and close accounts that's not being used. So in my case, that account is still a positive account because I have good payment history. The line is just closed. Thank you guys for coming in. So the line is just closed. So if you have that, that's good. But if you have a charge off and it says closed by creditor, the charge off part is making that account negative. It meant it was a bad debt and they had to write that off on their tax liability. So a lot of people, that was a good question, asked that question. If it is a positive account, you want to keep that. Now, one of the reasons why I was on StreamYard, I wanted to show you guys on ways on how you can see negatives on your credit report or inconsistent information that's reporting on your credit report, because with this, it's a lot of nuances, especially just like that question. A lot of people really, you just don't know when you're trying to find your way, what is negative and what is positive, because it can be some simple reporting error on your credit report, just like that, like where people, it's a closed account, but if they said it's charged off when it was in good standing, that can drop your credit rating. And you don't even know, by simple mistakes and errors on your credit report. If you right now have a charge off and it's reporting late every month, or a collection, it's reporting late every month, that's keeping your credit score down monthly. Because one thing you need to learn about the credit system, anytime an item, thank you so much, Mr. Carey, for the super chat. Thank you. Any item that you have on your credit report and it's updating every month in a negative way, it brings your score down. And initially it'll bring your score down, and it can keep your score down if you keep having that standing report on your credit report. For instance, if you have a car loan that's open and you keep you're behind on your payments. I have seen many people I work with, especially let's say after the pandemic, their car companies say, hey, you got behind, but if you make these payments, let's say your normal car payment is $325 a month, and you got behind on your payments, and they say, no problem, we won't come get the car. All you got to do is pay us a little bit extra on that 325, say 425, and we'll catch the account up. Many a times they're still reporting those late payments every month because the account is not caught up to good standing. So when you're making those kind of negotiations with your car companies or with a creditor because you got behind on your credit card statements, that's one of the questions you need to ask. Because if it's not being caught up where they're going to report it with being paid on time and it's being paid late, they're reporting it late every month, that is designed to keep your credit score down, because your credit score cannot actually go up if you constantly have late credit remarks every month. You need to let that heal for a good 90 days. So you need to stop that from dinging you if you have that every month. And I see it a lot on Experian now. You can have a charge off, and especially collections. Collections, it's a closed account. It's sold off. It should not be reporting late every month. That's a violation. But they do that to purposely keep your credit score down so you can't get other lines of credit. They do that. It's credit terrorism. Thank you so much for the $4 super sticker. I really appreciate it. So they don't want to continue to, they don't want you to have your score go up, because if you have a collection and it just hits you that one time, then once it's settled after 90 days, your score will begin to increase. I actually seen people with collections, credit score goes up to about, like, I saw someone with as high as a 730 credit score with a collection, that it wasn't reporting late every month. Because once you understand, after 90 days, as long as it's not continuing to keep negatively dinging your credit score, your score will go up. And anything after 24 months, you won't see a heavy effect on your credit score, which is 2 years, as long as that item is not updating. Now, when it comes to charge-offs and collections, you'll notice now they're dinging you. Thank you so much, Michael, for the $5 super sticker. They're dinging you consistently because they don't want people to move on. Now, when you have collections, and even if you have a high credit score, understand banks do still have underwriting practices. So certain banks, let's say a Chase or an American Express, with that credit, negative item on there, they probably will not approve you for their credit cards. But you can get approved for other things as long as that item is not reporting late every month. So this is why many people will tell you don't pay collections. Now, medical collections is in a different category, because with some medical collections under $500, if you pay it, they'll remove it. So then they will remove that. But when it comes down to consumer collections, if you pay that and it's close to that time, and if it's over 2 years, thank you so much for the super sticker, Anthony. I appreciate you guys. If you pay that, it'll update as a new negative item, and to your surprise, you'll see your score drop. And that's because now it's updating as a paid charge off. And so that paid charge off, thank you, Glenda, for the super sticker. That paid, it said, can you file a complaint about that? Okay, about the paid charge off. No, they have a right to do that. They have a right to update a collection or a collection or a charge off. Now, not medical collections. Now, medical collections under $500, if you pay it, it gets removed. But if you're paying a consumer collection or charge off, they will update as a paid collection. So, or a paid charge off. So I was at 757, missed 2 payments because I was in a coma. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And Bank of America is reporting it late, even though I'm caught up now. Now, in that situation, if you are a person who has a good history with your bank, in his situation, you need to see if you can actually have a goodwill letter. And if you were having some health issues, especially if you can provide some kind of proof. And when you call, if you guys had a good relationship with your bank, what you want to do is call your bank and then tell them about that situation. But don't just talk to the customer service rep, because many of them don't have, that leverage to be able to remove that. You want to speak to a supervisor and always get names. Okay, so you always want to get who you talk to and titles. So that's one of the ways that you do it. But paying a charge off many times, or a collection, unless it's in the medical department, as of now, it can cause your credit score to go down when it updates as a new negative item. Now, I do have my credit system, my elite credit system, and with that, it does read your credit scores. So if you're a person that said, I really don't know, thank you, William, for the $5 super sticker. If you don't know what your credit items are and what your issues are with your credit, it will import your credit scores and allow you to actually create customized disputes. So when the system, the AI system, import your credit scores from my credit provider, what it will do is read, and it'll read lines and lines of your credit scores across all three major credit bureaus, and it will allow you to instantly create a dispute. Now, with the system, you can, if you have more detail, you can customize your own dispute. So if you have information, just like that gentleman said, I was in a coma, I was sick with this Bank of America 2 missed payments, and you have certain details like that, or it was in the pandemic, I made arrangements, this shouldn't be reported, or you have some other situations, you can add that comment there itself, and you can also add it to, if you want, you can just customize your dispute to that dispute letters, and you can also go with the suggested dispute comments with everything else that the system come up with. But especially when you have things like public records, which would be like bankruptcy, this can be very helpful for you, for it to go through and pull out inconsistencies in that reporting. Now, if you're a person, thank you so much, Arlight. I appreciate the super sticker. And thank you, Gina. And you said, I meant complain against reporting late payments and charge-offs. What you want to do with that, you want to dispute that. So your avenue for everyone, when you have incorrect information on your credit report, your main thing you have to do first is dispute with the credit bureaus. Okay, so that's going to be your first step, and this is why. That is what the law actually states. So say if you have really a case for a lawsuit, if it's inaccurate reporting or whatever, you cannot overstep a step. Even a lot of people will complain to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. But if you do that complaint without first doing a dispute, your first step and avenue under the Fair Credit Reporting Act is to dispute anything negative on your credit report. So first, you must actually have to send a dispute and then move on from there. You have to give them time to change, to investigate and change that reporting. Thank you so much, Orlando. I appreciate it. So everybody understand, disputing must be your first step. But it doesn't have to be your only step to get that negative item removed. You can also challenge with the original creditor if you know. So in the gentleman's case, who was unfortunately with into a coma with Bank of America, thank God you recovered. He can do two parts. He can send a letter to Bank of America about it and dispute with the credit bureaus at the same time. That's going to be most effective. Now, even in my credit system, my credit report provider is Smart Credit. And with Smart Credit, they actually have ways where you can take action against your negative items by sending out, they will send out a fax letter to your creditor about your reporting. Now, they won't send it to the credit bureaus, but they will actually send a dispute or credit error letters about your situation and what you would choose in smart credit directly to the original creditor. Because one thing why that is effective, understand the credit bureaus need at least 30 days to be able to investigate that item. So generally, like within my system, you'll see a countdown. And I'm going to put out a video because unfortunately my StreamYard was drawing in with my apps being open. It was actually slowing down my speed. But what with the system that we have with the elite credit system, you'll notice it's a 40-day timer. And the reason why it's a countdown timer, because you want to give the bureaus at least 30 days to investigate. And then you have to make sure that you have enough time for the letter to get to you. So they have a full 30 days to respond, and then it needs to be time for mailing for the letter to come to you. So you have to give it that time frame, unlike your original creditor. So with the smart credit side, they can send a dispute with your creditor to notify your creditor, this is a reporting error that you're reporting against me. With the creditor, they can change that much quicker, because understand, like I used for the example, the creditor is the source who's telling the credit bureaus every month what this reporting is. Now, the reason why they're doing that, like I said, banks make money off of interest. The credit bureaus themselves need data. So, in order for your original creditors, your banks, your collection companies, all of them to have access to credit reports and reporting to have leverage against you if you don't pay, they have to supply a certain amount of names to the credit bureaus every month. And this is why now you're seeing a lot of resistance for pay for deletes, because they're required in order for them to do the credit terrorism against you to make you pay. They are required to feed the beast and feed the system. So your way is to find errors in your credit report and find inconsistencies and start the step of disputing. Now, part of the disputing part, you want to make sure you build your case, and you want to continue to find different types of items and errors with your disputes. And so when you first send your first rounds of letters, when your credit score update in my elite credit system, after that 40 days, it'll import the new credit reports. And if anything is removed, then what it will do is remove that off of its list for an item to be disputed. Or if that item remains, it will update its new dispute for that credit item accordingly to what came back. So it actually does all the heavy lifting for you. And many of times, a lot of people don't know what's positive and negative on their credit report. Many people might think, just simple, because I get that a lot, closed accounts are negative, and that's not true. A lot of your closed accounts is positive, and you do not want to dispute that or remove that, because if you dispute and remove that, it can reduce sometimes your age of credit. This is why with dealing with your credit, you want to play both sides. And this is why you want to help by getting new positive items. Okay, so here's a rule of thumb. If you guys have a negative, let's say charge off reporting, you want two positive payments or reporting accounts in place for that negative one. So that even includes positive closed accounts, because you want to make sure you have positive data. That's all it's about with your credit score is data. Okay, so and Lauren said with the dispute letters, generated by the elite credit system, is there a reason it doesn't see late payments that's reported to TransUnion? Now, when it comes down to if you're having problems with the system coming in with reporting late payments, sometimes you need to call Smart Credit. Now, I had someone that had I think, Lawrence, that was you that emailed me about that issue. Now, with the credit provider, sometimes they need you to add some additional security, because with the provider getting the information from the bureaus, sometimes the information did not link up if some of the security questions are missed. So they might need to ask you an additional security question, because it could be some mix up with why the whole report is not reporting in. So if you have that issue, you'll see most people, all three are linking on a consistent basis and everything is reflected. But sometimes one report, just like if you sign up, like with me with Equifax, I have to call Equifax myself, because you can go directly to the credit bureaus and you might not even have access to your own information. They may have you to call in. So this a lot of times could be an issue on the back end that they're getting from the bureaus. So make sure if you have that, have anybody else that signed up had that issue. I think, Lawrence, you might have been the only person that I seen in my reply to you with that issue. So that's what you can. Somebody said, how can I get inquiries deleted from TransUnion? You would dispute those inquiries removed from TransUnion. So any hard inquiries you need to dispute with the credit bureaus, and you want to dispute also with the company that caused the hard inquiry. Now, there are certain scenarios where you can remove hard inquiries expediently, even within 4 days. But I do talk about that in my what to look for in my elite credit system in the tutorials, and there's some inquiries you can fast track, but you have to make sure, you guys, if you're disputing inquiries, is not open, it's not connected to open accounts and past positive accounts. And the reason why is what I said: if you have accounts that's open and past that were closed, you don't want to dispute anything that was connected to a past positive account, because you don't want that removed. It can decrease your credit score if you're getting positive accounts removed, and if you have an open credit card or an open account connected to that inquiry, they can shut that account down. So you want to make sure. I see a lot of people, they get really sometimes obsessed with inquiries. Is some people like, I applied for a credit card, I got it, can I now dispute this inquiry? You don't want to make sure you're doing little games like that. It's not worth an account, a credit card account, that is helping your utilization behind one inquiry. You know, inquiries cost you 3 to 5 points. Now, if you have a ton of hard inquiries, that's a whole different situation, where I have seen one person I dealt with had like 96 hard inquiries. So when it comes to actually, even in the system, when you're looking to dispute, it's going to let you select each account and inquiry you want to dispute for that reason. You don't want to shut down any open credit lines. So that's what you don't want to do. So you want to make sure you select what you're disputing. Also, the second part of that, when it comes to people with high utilization, the system also offers, because it's connected, the credit provider is Smart Credit. They also have what's called Score Boost. Now, say if you're trying to increase your credit score because you're trying to buy a home, when it imports your credit reports, what it will show you is your credit card accounts, and it will show you exactly when you need to pay those accounts and how much of a payment you can make to increase your credit score. Let's say by 4 points. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate the super sticker. Say if you need to increase your credit score by 24 points because next month I'm applying for a mortgage and I want to get as many points, especially in this high interest rate and this high inflation market. The inflation on the homes are higher and the interest rates is higher. So it's very important that if you can get the lowest interest rate as possible, it can save you the life of that mortgage, possibly hundreds of thousands of dollars off of the life of that mortgage. Or of course, if you are a person who get a loan and a home loan and it's initially a high interest rate, if you're going to refinance when the market comes down to get a lower interest rate to save you maybe even hundreds of dollars every month in your mortgage, you definitely want the highest credit score possible. So with Score Boost, what it will show you, by paying this amount by this date, you will see an increase of your credit score by 30 points, 40 points, 2 points, 3 points. It all depends on what you want to pay. So if you're a person that has right now a lot of utilization and you're trying to find a plan to get your utilization down, when you have your credit reports imported in, it'll show you a payment plan on when you need to pay it and by what date that it will update to your credit report. And so you can start to find your way out of that high utilization because it'll show you where your payment will be most effective to increase your credit score and exactly by how much you need to pay. So if you're a person that say, well, right now, the max I have is $320 to pay on my credit cards this month, you can use the gauge and it will show you with $320 where to allocate those payments in order for you to see the score increase. Now, it might not be, it's all going to vary on people's amount of credit card debt they have and how large of a line. Now, additionally, what it can do for you, the same system with Smart Credit, with the Score Boost, have My Loan. So it will import your credit scores, and say if you have credit card debt and you want to increase your credit score, it'll show you actual loans, credit cards, business credit cards that fits your credit profile, and that will give you a better chance of applying. So you might say, hey, I have really high utilization. It'll show you loans. Say you got $15,000 of credit card debt. You can type in 15,000 and it has your credit score and your state that you're located in, because some lenders don't actually lend in every state. Some credit card companies don't actually have customers in every state, or they're not licensed to operate in every state. It'll show you by your state and your credit score lenders who will lend according to your profile and your amount that you're looking for, what lenders will be conducive to your credit profile. So you can pay down, if you can get that loan, that credit card debt, and now your utilization can go down, and that can improve your credit score if you're trying to find an option. So That is also a thing. I wanted to show you guys all of these things live because it's very useful to you and it takes out a lot of guesswork. With me, if you did a consulting, the really the exciting thing for me is the fact that the AI system can import your credit scores and find all your errors. When people used to sit down with me, it would take an hour for me to go through each individual credit score to find errors. Now, when you're originally imported in the system, it'll find those errors when you first update within 2 minutes. That is something I cannot humanly possibly do. So with that, it also I'm going to have a private Facebook group, and it's already established. And once you join, we will be doing lives, because another part that you guys, to stop this utilization trap, we want to get you over to business credit. Now, the reason why you want to get over to business credit, you don't have to necessarily have a business per se, as a lot of people think. Okay, I need an LLC, I need this to have a business credit card. No, sole proprietorships. A sole proprietorship, you can work under your own name and be in business. It's a type of business. Or you can be an independent contractor. A lot of you guys that's doing Uber, you're already, thank you, Anthony, for joining me. I'm looking forward to working with you. If you already are doing Uber, if you're already doing Instacart, you're in business under your own name. You can get credit cards under your own actual under your own name. You can get an EIN number attached to that and start to establish business credit. Now, the thing with that, it will not report to your personal credit report when you get that business credit card and an EIN number. Now, you want to, and this is what we're going to talk about, certain companies you need to go with. The myth of not having a personal guarantee is not there, you guys. Where all of these people, you can get business credit with net 30s and build your paydacks. If you are not making high revenue in that business, and we're talking about maybe 500,000, I'm talking big numbers, and actually have assets in that business, like buildings, real assets, not just a vehicle or not, they're not giving you credit without a PG. A lot of times you're going to have to personal guarantee the majority of the times. So you want to clean up your personal credit. But when it comes down to those inquiries, when they pull your personal credit with your personal credit getting business lines of credit, they are not really supposed to keep those hard inquiries on your personal credit profile. Those you can dispute and get removed because it was for your business. So that's another tip. It's why you want to work on the business credit side. And that is not reporting that utilization. If you deal with certain banks, Capital One is not one of them. Capital One Spark, they will report to your personal credit report, and Discover, they will report to your personal credit report. You want to find banks like American Express is one of them. They will only report Chase. They will only report to your personal credit report, or Wells Fargo, if you don't actual pay that debt. So that is not what we're going for, is not to pay the debt. Now, if you're a person that want to do an LLC, which is good, you can also with LLCs, or if you want to go with C Corp or different types of corporations, you can get business credit if you have a partner who's on a board. The board members are part of your business, where they can apply for the card, but you, since it's a business, can get a credit card also with that corporation. Now, with business credit, Many a times they're going to give you larger initial lines of credit than regular credit. And by using those, you won't have that reporting on your personal credit report. So I hope all of this information is leading you to a direction. I want to answer some of you guys' questions. Let me come in. I'm going to come in from the top, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I'm gonna go from the top to see if anybody have any questions. Thank you guys. Someone, Kimberly said, my friend didn't pay the mortgage during the COVID and has over 180 delinquents since, and now it's paid up to date 3 months ago, but it's the reporting is stopped for credit cards and loan. So Kimberly, so if you're a person just like this question, when that time frame was up, it shouldn't have, during COVID, they shouldn't have reported any late payments at all. But let me know if they got current on their credit. You're saying now they've been up to date 3 months ago. So that was a little bit past the time when they allowed credit reporting. If they still have that account, probably what they need to do is dispute with to see with that dispute actually when did they start reporting that late payment, to make sure with those late payments it wasn't during the time that it actually shouldn't have been any late payments, and to make sure those payments are accurate. So probably in that case, if they look probably against all three credit reports, that might not be consistent. It could be where one credit report where you're saying they got 180 on one, it might be 179, 178 on the other account, and the dates could be off. So they need to look at those details, and then they can challenge those late payments from there. That's how you have to find things that are inconsistent and inaccurate. Now, the problem with this, if they just got it up to date, they want to try to attack sometimes the latest payment, the far, like the first or the earliest, because this is kind of new and fresh. But they can dispute it if it's inaccurate. A lot of times, if it's something recent, they do have the documentation that you were just late, but they should go for probably the oldest late payment and attack that, and also look to make sure it wasn't in the time when they shouldn't have been reporting late accounts. So I would probably even say this was during COVID, and this shouldn't have been be reported late at that time. So I would go with that. Let's go and let's see if anybody else. I'm gonna go through. I know you guys have questions. So, what are you saying? Show me my wet signature. So, a drop of golden sun. Are you saying? What are you saying about showing you your wet signature? If you can go down and give me some details about what you're asking about, and give me a little more detail, then I can answer to my best knowledge of your question. You said, hello, Sherry. My student loans were forgiven this week and will be removed by the end of the month. How would this affect my credit score? I'm not sure. How are they saying they're going to report that? Because if they're going to keep actually that account in good standing, it should be good. I mean, if that account does show up as closed now, I would say you might initially, because student loans are installment accounts. And what I always tell you guys, banks make money off of interest. This is why they love credit cards. That's why utilization. It it gives them a chance to continue to make money off of you. So when installment loans, sometimes when you have an auto loan or a student loan close, initially you'll see your credit score dip maybe for 3 months, but after that, like 90 days, you'll see your score come back up. So initially you might see a little dip, but it will go back up. And if all those payments are reporting in good standing, it will be positive for your credit report. So don't worry about it. You're good. I need the education. Thank you for joining me, Miss Love. I appreciate it. Um, uh, let's see. Okay. Lawrence Robinson, when you can, quick question: should the name on the dispute letters generated by the lead credit match exactly what's on my social security card? Yeah, you want all your information on all your disputes, handwritten or however it is going. You guys, you want your information to match. So if you're writing even a letter, you want your name to match your social security card and your ID. Because generally, if your social security card says something, your ID should be matching up with your social security card and your birth certificate. So yes, you want your name to match across the board if you can. Peaches said, is the late night hack still legit? And when applying with Navy Federal, I always do it, the late night hack, and it worked for me. Now, sometimes with any time that you're applying for credit, what I said earlier here, they're not reviewing a lot of times your you like having a person. It's now AI technology, artificial technology, and algorithm. So anything that's weird or off can actually have them to do a review, a manual review personally. So that might throw it off. Now, that I did have, but I did have like either my fraud, I might have had a fraud alert on something like on there when that happened to me one time with Navy Federal, and then they reviewed it manually and I got approved. But just to know, fraud alerts, things like that can like hit a red flag. Fraud alerts will definitely hit a red flag with Discover. That card, many a times you'll get a 1-800 number to call in, but if you do get that 1-800 number to call in and say call in, they just want to verify that it's you. So with the late night hack, even with Navy Federal, if you have like certain things like that, fraud alerts, it could stop that from working. So I would clear all of that off as a tip for everybody before you apply for anything. And Anthony said, can we send a dispute letter through the bank or Credit Karma? Does it have to be directly to the company? Through Credit Karma. So you saying like disputing, if you can come back with a little more information for me. So through the bank or Credit Karma, what bank disputes for you? And if you mean like Credit Karma disputing online, yeah. Now here's the thing about Experian, Equifax, Credit Karma, places like that. Well, Credit Karma is actually like a credit monitoring, and they might be doing a online dispute, but it's going through the bureaus. The bureaus disputing online, they charge the creditor for that. So they actually make more money when you dispute online. The down part with disputing online, you don't have any evidence on the response many of times. The reason why it's good to do it through the mail, certified mail, because you're getting your responses by mail. Many times too, if you ever call in to the bureaus and you have sent a physical dispute, tell they like, oh well, we can do a manual dispute now. No, keep my just say keep mine's always on paper. That's what you want to do. So you want to keep those on paper and keep it on paper only. All right. So that's part of it. So that's why I don't like online disputing. If you do have an issue with an account and you need to submit proof to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, many a times if you have a complaint, you could just upload it, but you want to have your proofs in line that you sent it certified mail and tracks of disputes where they weren't removing things that were reporting negative and inaccurately. Somebody said, is identity IQ a good place to review your credit reports and scores? Yes, you can use Identity IQ to review your credit reports and scores. Yes, you can do that. And let's see, how many times can you dispute? You can keep disputing negative items off of your credit off of your credit report because it's inaccurate. It's hurting you. They have an obligation to report things 100% accurate and 100% complete. So even missing information, sometimes you might see high credit balance on the card, and we're in that they don't have that information there. It's blank. They another big thing, re-aging. You'll look at your credit reports sometimes, and this is a real big one. It might tell you, let's say a charge off. The last payment on that charge off was, let's say, April of 2020. Then you'll look at, let's say that was Experian. Then you'll look at TransUnion and it might say, oh, the last payment was actual June of 2020. And then you might have Equifax. Oh, it was actually August of 2020, the last payment. Reason why that's important, the last date of payment is when the 7-year clock start ticking. So a lot of them will move that date up because it gives them a longer time to report against you. Now, if it's all coming from one source, which is the original creditor, how is Experian having a different date of the date of last payment? How is Equifax having a different date? How is TransUnion having a different date? That's why with Smart Credit, it's sending out those letters directly to the original creditor is effective because any reporting like that is coming from them. So how can you be telling 2 different or 3 different stories on when was my date of last payment? Because that gives them a longer opportunity to collect on that, or the collection company, because it stay on your credit report longer. And that's re-aging. That's called re-aging. So somebody said, well, it's up to the consumer to ensure that the information on their credit report information on their credit report across the board. And that is absolutely correct. It is your obligation to make sure that they are reporting correctly against you. One thing you want to understand, your credit is connected to your character. This is why they say credit worthiness. Are you even worthy of credit? That is what it's saying. Can you be trustful? So this is connecting to a lot of who you are as a person and your personality and your trustworthiness. That's why you have a lot of financial banks, banking jobs, government jobs. If you have bad credit or open collections and accounts, even with my husband being an ex-military as a veteran, there were certain clearances you couldn't get if you didn't have good credit or you had a lot of debts. Well, not debts, but debts you didn't pay. And the reason why it's saying that it will open you up to taking bribes, that you can be corrupted. So this is how credit is connected to your character, okay? It is connecting to what they're saying, who you are as a person and your character. So you want to make sure that you're checking your credit report, you want to make sure anything that's not actually correct, you want to challenge, because they do not swing that pendulum the other way. You'll see a lot of errors, but you never saw where they gave tons of people good credit by accident. And that's a reason, because like I said, they get paid for selling higher, they get paid more for negative credit profiles to go to the bank. It's all part of the system. So Mr. Carey is saying, hello, I have a charge off with a zero balance with PenFed. I've tried to get this removed 2 years back, but it keeps coming back verified. Now, are you finding, is it connected to a charge off? And are you finding real errors on that account? Because once you start finding actual errors on that account, and if you still have that track record and where you have the replies, you can put in a complaint with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. But you want to have factual things that you're finding inaccurate about that account. And that's why it's important to send out letters and not do it online. Because if they're not removing something and it's something that's not accurate, you want to go ahead and take the steps to file a complaint. But you do want your proofs in place. And if it's really accurate and they're not removing it, you can sue people for defamation. It's not correct. I don't owe it. So you want to make sure you have all of that in place. If you do, you can just upload your complaint with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. But make sure you outline the real inconsistencies on your credit report. And some Sergeant King said, yes, it was a car I totaled and paid off. If it's paid off, but it's paid off that closed account, you guys, the highest standard is paid as agreed. Okay, so you want to have your closed accounts that say with credit cards or whatever, paid as agreed. That's a good account. Paid satisfactory is, it was, it's paid satisfactory. It was it's good, but it's not the best, the highest. You always, even if you're going for a pay for deletion, you want them to put pay as agreed, not paid satisfactory, not a paid charge off, not settled. All of those are really negative. Okay, those are negative. All right. Can a charge off of a collection, can a charge off, a charge of a collection be removed? Well, Ricky, any negative item can be removed. So yes, all of that can be removed, and you need to dispute, because like I said, that is your right under law, and you need to find inaccurate information with that account. And many a times you're going to find it. You want to look at your credit scores across the board to find inconsistencies. Always remember, the story is coming from one source, the original creditor. All three bureaus can't have a whole different story or different dates and different. If it's coming from one source, then something is wrong, and this is not being reported accurately. So I wish I'd known when I was younger, when I used to pay off credit cards or loans, I would close the account. Yeah, we all have did that, Mr. GDPR. So I have done that. This is why education is so important, because unfortunately they didn't teach. This is things you don't teach. Oh, thank you, King Payne, for joining the live, the official King Payne. I feel royal for having you over here. Thank you for joining me. You were saying a collection or charge off can be removed if they are reporting late payments. No, they should not be reporting, especially on collections. Now with charge offs, After 180 days, that account should be closed. So the question is, with charge-offs, where it's where you can challenge it, there's not another scheduled payment because the account was charged off. So how can you say it's late every month? It wasn't, you charged off the account. There's no longer the account is closed. There's not a anticipated late payment or payment expected because it's charged off. It's written off as a bad debt. Well, why are you reporting a late payment every month? Okay, so that's what you can challenge. And a collection, it's done. In collections. They shouldn't have any late payments. It was sold. It's done. Is not an anticipated payment plan for collection. It's a collection account. Is done. So it should not be late payments on those accounts. So you want to challenge that, the reporting. And it says, can a closed credit account bring your score down? Miss Cutie Pie, like I said, initially, if it's an installment loan, it can bring your score down. With credit cards, depending on how much your utilization is, if they close, like what happened to me, it happened to the best of us. They closed down my credit card account. I lost about 2 points. So because I lost unsecured line of credit and I have debts, so it will bring down my debt to available credit. I just lost available credit, and so it can decrease your credit score. Now, how much? It depends on how big your current open credit lines are compared to how much debt that you have on your other credit cards and how much utilization. For me, it was only 2 points because I have like larger credit lines. So it wasn't that big of a deal like that, but it did probably ding me on my age of credit. Oh, that account wasn't hugely open, so actually it didn't even really mess with my age of credit because it was a kind of a newer account, maybe about 3 years old. It wasn't my oldest account. Now, if you have that happen to your oldest credit card account, that they shut it down like that, and it was 14 years old, you might really take a hit if you over a 700 credit score. Because like I told y'all, age of credit really begins to matter heavily when you get over that 700 credit score. That's why I said to increase your credit score without removing one negative item under a 700 credit score. You can add a credit card and you'll see an increase on average of 50 points. But I always say 700, under a 700. That's why I say that, because now it's different when you get over that 700 age of credit. Adding a new credit card account will decrease your score because it affects your age of credit, and it's really, it really starts to take effect there. So hopefully that's helpful. Any way to get child support off your credit report? Yes, you can dispute any account. Yes, you can. Now, with child support, attacking the source, dealing with the state, if you have ways or if there's more details to that child support account. A lot of people ask that, and this is why it's different variations with different accounts, especially when it comes to child support. Some men have had situations they had the child, for a certain amount of time, and they were still on child support. Like the child could have been living with them, and because they had a child support case, that case or those payments are rolling against you, and you wasn't paying because I actually had my child, or the custody situation. I had my child more, and you really shouldn't have been paying that level of child support. Sometimes what I always tell y'all is if you can resolve it from the source, a lot of times that's a great way to get that change faster. If not, in that case, when it comes to child support, you can challenge the reporting just like every other account. Find out what's the inconsistency. in the payments. And many a times you want to find things are not correct across the board if you look at those accounts. So make sure anything that you have that you're challenging, you want to find a factual dispute. It's a factual, it's factually error with that account, and most of the times it is somewhere across the board. Speechless Omega, is a late payments illegal to be on a credit report? No, late payments, if you really are late, if it's reporting correctly the whole account, then it wouldn't be illegal. But if, say, that late payment, you did miss that late payment on that date, but you got other information that's wrong on that account, like high credit balance, just different, the original amount that was taken on that account, the original loan amount on that account. If anything like that, a current balance is off, you can challenge it for that and get that account removed, or get that payment overturned. On mortgage, and you said on mortgage payments too, on Kimberly, on all payments. What resources do we have as a consumer to restore your limit previously? You don't, job, because the banks issue that line of credit. So they can close those credit lines down. But here's the thing, you just go and get another credit card. Yeah, I mean, it's not hard to do. Trust me. Another thing I want y'all to understand, banks need you. CUNY, thank you so much for the $4 super sticker. Thank you. One thing I want y'all to know, banks need you. Like, don't, like, honestly and truthfully, banks need you more than you need them. The key is you got to get the knowledge to go. If you keep hearing what I'm saying, to go with the banks that will approve you by your credit profile. Okay. So you want to find, banks need you. They even need people with subprime credit. They got array of different products. They have, take Chase, the Sapphire, which is the Sapphire card, which is their higher, premier card. They have the preferred, Sapphire preferred. They have all types of credit cards for different types of credit scores. Chase Unlimited card. They have different types of products. Also, American Express, Platinum card, Gold card, Green card, Blue Everyday, Reward card, Hilton card. They have different types of products for different types of credit scores, ratings. Banks have that. Now, some cater to a different type of customer, but places like Capital One have venture cards. They have the Quicksilver card. They got all types of cards for different credit profile. Where people get messed up is they have a subprime credit profile, and you want to go to a bank with, or a credit card in a bank that have maybe stringent, more underwriting type of approvals that don't match your credit profile. So you might get denied. Oh, I got denied. You just was aiming at the wrong place or product at that time. It doesn't mean that you're totally out the game. There's plenty of credit cards that's going to work in your credit profile. You just got to just learn the rules to what their underwriting and their approval rules are. And you just locate the right credit card according to your credit profile at that time. That's it. Like, so a lot of people get, oh, they denied me, and they feel a certain kind of way. But you shouldn't, I don't apply for nothing that I don't know is pretty much guaranteed. And you should be doing the same. That's point blank, period. And a lot of people get tricked. Oh, you sad, and start crying and whining and snotting. Bruh, you know darn well with a 580 credit score, You're not getting an American Express gold card, and you just had a repossession 2 months ago that don't fit their underwriting standards. So you can't get you. It's not saying you couldn't get a credit card. You just can't get one from them at this time. Don't mean forever. Just right now, we handle where we are. We'll look for where we are, and then we go. Like, it's just that's just how life works. Hey, I might not can get an NBA player. That I just might not can bag one. You know what? But I might can get a brother with a real good job and real. So let me just aim over there, okay? Until maybe I get my body right or get something together, and then maybe I can aim over there. You know what I'm saying? But for right now, you might not. Men can bag a Kim Kardashian if you want one, or you might not could bag, a certain female at a certain status right now. Oh, she got your body together, got her money together. Okay, but you can really get a nice, really cute female fit over here. You know what I'm saying? Maybe at the fitness club, you can bag her, but you always want to aim at your best chances. If you don't want rejection, that's what you're supposed to do with credit cards too. If you don't want rejection, you aim at where you are at that time. Okay, so that's how you want to do with credit cards. Do your research, be real about your own situation. Be real with yourself, because a lot of people are not real with themselves. Well, I wanted that. I thought, got to be real with yourself. Okay, if you know you got some items on your credit report, go do your research. If not, I have all of that. We're gonna have that in the system where you need to be aiming. Okay, just adjust fire and go over here. But we can get you approved. We just got to get it according to your credit profile. That's it. So not all hope ain't lost. Then as you deal with negative items, go over time, then you step up. And don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's things you can do. And you might not can get, I'm just going to use the Kim Kardashian. I ain't saying everybody cup of tea, for real, because you might have different things you looking for in life. But you could be just as happy with this young lady over here from the fitness club. She's nice. You might be actually happier with her, to be honest with you. So it all depends too on your lifestyle. So, hey, that's another thing. A lot of people, I got to go down this trail. I know it's crazy because a lot of people, because I talk about credit cards, they get a little upset. Oh, I want the, let's say the platinum, American Express platinum card, because that's one of their premium cards. But they have black cards and things like that. Well, I want that. It does have a $695 annual fee. Do you want that? Do you travel a lot? I have that card. I do travel a lot. I use the card a lot. I get a lot of points. So also with the Chase Sapphire, $550 annual fee. I travel a lot. So it fits my lifestyle. Me and my husband both travel a lot. Like, it's really needed because we are required to fly a lot, and family obligations, we have to. Now, if you're a person that's going on a trip maybe twice a year, you might can get that. You know what I'm saying? It might fit your lifestyle. Or you can go for the American Express Gold card. I think that's only like a $250 annual fee. You can get some of the same benefits, but it fits your situation much better. You might be much happier if you're not doing that type of traveling. Just like the Chase Preferred card. It's similar to the Chase Sapphire card, but it's a less of an annual fee, only like $95, and got a ton of good benefits. Maybe not, you might not be getting into airport lounges and all of that, but if you're not traveling like that, are you going to really use that benefit? So it's the same thing with credit cards. You really want to focus what is going to go with your lifestyle, and you're going to get the most benefits and the points and the rewards according to you. If you're not a traveler, I wasn't a traveler at one point of my life. So it would be in the pandemic, me getting a platinum card would just be foolish for my lifestyle. At that time, it was foolish. I got one recently because it made sense. So maybe for you, if you're not traveling a lot, you want to go for a cash back credit card. So you want to always think about your situation where you are when it comes to credit. Okay, always keep that in mind. All right. So also, Angela said, I have a incorrect item from AAA. I need to dispute. Does that mean it's affecting my credit score? Now, Angela Robertson, it depends if you can give me some details. How is it incorrect? Okay, so give me that detail, because if it's late payment, yeah. If it's something negative in that way, yeah, it can be bringing down your credit score. So definitely. So if I have collections, how do I stop it from reporting? You can dispute it. You could dispute it. You can also send a debt validation letter at the same time as disputing it directly to the collection company to make them prove they have a legal right to collect on a debt. Because a debt is owed, don't give any Joe Schmo a legal right to collect on that debt. So you got a car payment, light bill. I just can't pick up your light bill and say, pay me right now. Because who am I? Where do I have a legal right? I never gave you services to collect on that debt. You never did business with me. So I have to prove I got a legal right to collect on that debt, or you owe me because you don't even know me. So that's it. Like T.I. said, you don't know me. You don't know me. I don't know you. That's why a lot of people like, should I send the debt collection company my ID? Heck to the no, you shouldn't send them. You don't even know them. Would you send a stranger your ID? No, I don't know you. I never did business with you. You might send it to Capital One if you got a Capital One credit card because you know them. You might submit proof if they ask you for a review, because I did business with them. I actually know them, but I don't know you. So who are you? I don't know you. So that's what you want to do. And Gina said, if they do that, can you file a complaint? I think you were saying late payments, and I think I answered that one. No, you need to dispute. That's your first step. Touched by You said 21 accounts, 15 closed, 6 open. Excellent credit rating on Credit Karma. Okay, so it all depends, like in that, how are these accounts disclosed and all. So going back to closed accounts aren't necessarily negative if they're positively reporting. So that's what you want to make sure your profile is mixed with positive information. Okay. Say, is it a violation to buy the alleged debt? It depends on what type of a debt. Okay, so if it's a contract there, you need to give legal right for that debt to be sold. So I own property and I have a mortgage. When I sat down at that mortgage, I just signed my life away. A lot of us did. Or mortgages, you sign your life away. And so with your bank, you might see your mortgage contract change hands all the time, because in that case, you somewhere gave the legal right for that mortgage company in order to get that loan to sell that debt. But many debts, you don't have that paperwork. And when that paperwork isn't there, or they don't have that signature that you did, like with credit cards, nobody sends that contract back. Nobody, I haven't never in my life signed and sent that. You supposed to. Now what they'll say, you use the card, so you are agreeing with the terms and conditions of the card. Yeah, okay, I owe the original creditor. But where did I say they can sell this debt. Where did I give that permission since I ain't signing? By using a card with you, like a taxi, it's terms of use. A taxi, if you sit down at a restaurant, yeah, you use that and you ate the food, so you owe that. Or a taxi, you owe that bill to the taxi. But the other guy in the Uber can't say, pay me the taxi bill. Like, hey, I'm an Uber car and you ain't pay him, now you owe me. You gotta show where how do I owe you? You ain't give me no ride, he did. So if I'm gonna pay anybody, it'll be him. So how I owe you? Oh, well, you agree. Where? I just sat my butt here and I drove in this taxi, so I owe him. I don't owe you. I hopefully that makes it clear. It has to be legal, right? And they got to prove, as a collection company, they got a right to collect on that debt. That's just point blank simple. Gina said, can you file a complaint? Yeah, you can file complaints to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, but you guys always want to do your steps. Make sure you dispute it, and then keep going. How do you feel about credit stacking? A guy on YouTube did it online. He completed 3 credit cards with the same bank and submitted all 3 and got 1 inquiry. I mean, if you can do it, hey, get it how you live it. But the only thing is, when you credit stacking, it depends on where your credit score is. Because remember, because you're giving 3 credit cards and you're a person with a 700 and above credit score, now you got 3 new accounts. And that could bring down your credit score and you could look real sad because it messed up your age of credit. So this is why people do credit gardening. So that's when you get at a higher credit score, you need to know and look at your own credit profile. You need to know how, not because my cousin down the street did this, you don't know what it's doing to your cousin credit, and you don't know what's on your cousin credit or what that guy credit score is built up like. You know what I mean? It can devastate you. It might hurt your feelings if you put 3 credit cards and you have just recently had 3 new accounts, or you don't have older credit cards account. So I think a lot of people on YouTube, even me sometimes, you can give general information, but this is why the elite credit system, I work with a developer to get this made. Now this is coming down to you. You know what I'm saying? It's telling you about you, because credit sometimes is not a one size fit all situation. You got to apply things in life for you. It's like your marriage, it's like your relationships, with your family members. You might not have the family structure as the guy down the street, or I don't have the marriage of the person over there, but my situation worked for me. So you need to know what your credit makeup and profile is for you. And then if it can work for you, then you can do it. So hopefully that's helpful. And this is why we now have a personalized, not one size fit all, shake it up in the bag, boop, 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 and boom, it worked for you. Because sometimes it just don't. The credit system is designed to pick up on your credit profile compared to your life. So hopefully that's helpful. Thank you, Lawrence, for the super sticker. I appreciate that. And William, you said, how can I remove inquiries? And why is my credit score only staying at 700 to 750? Now, one of the things that you can definitely remove inquiries. And you said injuries. I believe that's inquiry. You can definitely do that to accounts that's not connected to any of your real accounts, like old good accounts or open accounts. But a lot of times, if you have problems with 700 to 750, it's probably your utilization somewhere in there and what's reporting on your credit report. So sometimes you can pay it late past when they update that account, or you might paid it. That happened to me. I paid my credit card and I'm usually good to wait for it to update, because with credit cards, they can only update once a month. And I went and I used that card again within a day before it updated, and they updated that balance after I paid that credit card that I used on that card. And it kind of pissed me off. And what happened, I pissed myself off. Excuse me. I pissed myself off because I know better than that. But another thing too, if you that happened to you and you thought you did that, you could be too, if you got a couple of credit cards, carrying too many balances on your credit cards. So the system, the algorithm don't like that. If you have balances, even small balances on, say if you got like, 11, 12 credit cards and you got too many of them with balances, it can ding you. But let me say this. I want to say this and make it clear. Understand, y'all, is not going to help you to die with the 850 credit score. Now, I don't know if people tell you this, but I'm going to be the one to tell you. If you're not utilizing your score, then it's a disjustice. You know what I'm saying? So if you're a person and you're at a 740 and up, you're pretty much getting the same interest rates as somebody as an 850 credit score. You need to be using that credit to make you money, to better your life, to put more money in your pocket. Don't just sit around and just gaze at a credit score and get all caught up. If you pass, and you just hearing it from me, I'm quite sure, and I'm a person at credit, I can just gas you up and you need to keep going. Baby, honestly and truthfully, at 750, you're generally getting the same interest rates as that person with an 800, 850. Y'all just focus on using your credit to put yourself in a much better financial position in life, and not being maxed out, not just buying a bunch of debt. I had a couple of people say, and I want to clear this up. When I did my video on how to buy any car, that the secret to buy any car you want, I had a couple people, and it was some racist shade. It was some racist shade. I'm just going to be real. Why black people always this and that? First of all, let me clear this up. And this is why I'm segueing to making your credit score work for you. Boo, if you're watching me today and you didn't know, I bought my first income producing property at 21, my second one at 25. I ain't never paid a mortgage on my own nor a car note. Let me get you together. Understand, there's ways that you can do it. Not everybody's broke. Get that one. So understand that. You want to learn how to make your credit work for you. I'm going to be talking more about that. And if you get my credit system, we're going to talk about that. Your key is to leverage your credit to put you in a better position and to make your credit make money for you. So when I bought my first vehicle, that was a BMW, I never paid a car note out of my own pocket. I still don't to this day, ever. Okay? Because I set up and I used my credit at 21, became a landlord, lived there, and then flipped and went to another one. So the thing is, everybody ain't broke and everybody ain't struggling. Some people feel that way. Maybe that's because that's you. And, you think you throw shade. But all black people ain't broke. Understand that. And you want to make sure if you're buying things and you're buying stuff, you don't want to put yourself in a certain position. You want to play the game accordingly. But make sure what Sherry said is, if you are leaving here with an 800 credit score, you have your family in a better position. Try to do something to gain wealth. Okay, try to do something and just don't look at a credit score. Put that credit score to use, because it just don't, credit score 850 credit score don't matter in the grave. It ain't doing nobody no good. So you want to make sure you're putting yourself in the best position. So always don't get, so after a certain amount, that you don't have to listen to me, but I'm just saying, after a certain point, and you know how to run this game, if y'all follow me how I'm telling you, you can adjust your credit score whenever. I get sometimes my credit score down and up. It depends on what moves I'm making. I'll be honest. I'll slap 8,000, sit it there. I'll slap 2,500, 25,000. If and sit it there if I'm making a move that's better in my situation at that time, and I have somebody else to pay it off, or I know I'm getting money here or whatever. You do your math. If I'm getting points, sometimes I just had something. I had a big job done on one of my rental properties, and I was looking at that shit. I put this on my credit card, but this amount to get this done is going to cost me, if I do this, get the points, it's going to cost me $240 with the interest charge, or well, really, actually, it was the processing fee, because I most of the times I pay off the balance of my credit card. But I got to that where I run everything to my credit card for the points, because like I said, I travel a lot. Flights, hotels is needed, and we have family situations that it is absolutely needed to do so. So I play the game and I look at everything, what's going to benefit me. So I'm using my good credit to buy me plane tickets and run everything through my credit card, paid off the balance before the interest. Now, I know I got that kind of income coming in. That's not everybody's situation. So some people tell you, oh, you should run everything and don't use your debit card like that. Baby, if your money ain't running like that, don't listen to that. You got to do what you can do for you until you get there. So you play the game that's best for you, get your credit score, and then start doing your strategies tailored to your own lifestyle. What worked for Sherry might not be realistic for you. You see what I'm saying? So always take everybody advice and apply it to your life. Examine it to your life. But all of that ain't working for everybody. So when it comes to cars, like I broke down, you want to do a car payment 10%, no more than 10% of what your monthly income. You never want to over leverage yourself. If anything, like with me, when I bought that car, I had already an investment that I knew was going to pay for the car, or I wouldn't have bought the car. That's just how I roll. I play chess. So I'm going to always try my best to protect my pieces. Even my pawns will get a pawn chain. I need to recoup somewhere. So game ain't over for me. So that's the way I do my life. That's where I suggest everybody else try to invest so you're not cash strapped. And it's not overnight. This is a constant behavior of living that kind of lifestyle. And then you can afford what you want, because you can't take it with you. So you got to have a balance of being financially responsible, but also enjoying your life. Because this money system, or what we call money, which is really not money, it's currency. That's a whole nother thing. That's why I also invest in silver and gold. I try to do that to secure my actual money. That's more money than currency. This is Chuck E. Cheese money. Okay, it's only good here in this life. It's like Chuck E. Cheese. That's it. After you leave here, you ain't spending it. So it's only good here. So you always want to do a balance. So Kevin Allen, Julie Bro said Navient is paid and closed, but had late payments. Can it still be removed? Julian, that's a good question. How many late payments? Sometimes you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, and how long ago. So that's another thing, y'all. You always want to see if it's a real terrible account. Okay, you might scrap the whole thing if you got, tons and tons. Is it more good than bad? You know what I'm saying? But if it's like 2 or 3 payments, I'll just dispute it. The payments. And one thing about like student loan accounts, y'all gonna find, they always report like this. It'll be like on time, 90 days late, out the blue. So they always report that all jacked out. For some reason, I don't know why they don't go 30 day, 60 day, 90 day. It just be on time, 90 days out the blue. There is no possible way I could be 90 days late on this account if the prior month was on time. So you can always dispute those and go after that in that fashion. Dispute that way. Kevin said, I was at 7:30, went car shopping in 2 days. Yeah, they shotgun your credit. That's why in that video I talked about securing your financing before. If anybody going to get a card, watch The Secret to buying your to buying any card you want and increase your credit score. You want to take your own financing. And I told you, Chase, PenFed. It's so many places you can pre-qualify, and even Navy Fed, to get your car loan like beforehand. But in my elite credit system, sign on, I got anybody that signed up to my elite credit system. Before you start disputing, go check out my tutorials on inquiries. Do that first, okay? Check that out, right? Because we examine some stuff. You can get some stuff moved in 4 days, even 24 hours. So go and examine that first before you make that move. But go check out that, okay? Everybody that signed up, I said it again, check that out with the inquiries before you start sending out your disputes, okay? And we'll be talking about that in the group. All right. Somebody said, I just missed that. No matter what I do, my credit stays low. What should I be doing to get at least 700 in this lifetime? You should join my elite credit system. That's what you should do. Because what it is you probably don't know what factors you got going on. Pretty much though, if it's some negatives, it's probably your utilization. But in order to find out what it is, you need to find out what your credit factors is. But probably the quickest way to get to that 700, like I said, add on unsecured lines of credit. Find credit cards that you can actually qualify for. Add that on. Let it report, and you should see an increase to your credit score. This is a slave debt criminal system going bye-bye and good riddance. It ain't going nowhere anytime soon. They just going to go ahead and just find a different way to create currency for them. So unfortunately, it ain't going nowhere anytime soon. Because the rich, the wealthy is going to stay wealthy unless Jesus come back or something like that. But besides that, it's going to be around some kind of way. You just want to make sure whatever it is, you get some kind of assets. So like I said, I'm a landlord. People going to need a place to stay. I ain't going to front. So if currency is apples, somebody going to pay me in apples. All right. Is somebody going to pay me in something if they want a roof, so you want to get into some kind of, business where you hold in some kind of asset. That's the way you want to play the game. So that's just my opinion. Maybe everybody don't want that kind of life, but that's just the way I see it. Ain't going nowhere no time soon. Is it legal to report negatives from medical under $100? They should post to notify you and give you a year. Then yeah, they could, but you can just pay that, and then that medical collection would just be removed if you want to pay it, or send a debt validation letter. Medical collections are pretty easy because technically under HIPAA, they really shouldn't be sharing your personal information like bills. Like a bill like that have your private information, personal health information. So when you send that initial letter, ask them for proof, they send you a bill, then I have a response letter that this is a violation of the HIPAA law, and many of them will roll off of that. Because if you got a bill, you got my private health information if I had a procedure, and that's a violation of HIPAA, the HIPAA Act. So should we pay a charge off? Joan, it all depends how old that charge off is, and you could do a pay for deletion if you get it in writing and they're going to update that. and if they remove it, but you want to make sure you get that to pay, get that in writing if you're going to do that. But if you just pay a charge off without having something in writing, it'll update as, it'll update as a negative item. And if it's about to fall off, nah, I wouldn't pay it. I'll just dispute it. That's what I'll do. I'll dispute it. And you know what? Sometimes it is, I will say, Joan, I'll pay a charge off if it's with Navy Federal. I would pay a charge off. I might pay a charge off with American Express or Chase if those relationships, because you can't burn everybody and you want to have somewhere to go. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want to stay in the ghettos of subprime all your life paying high interest. So if some of these other cards won't, give you a chance after that. And American Express interest rates is kind of high, to be honest with you. From what I see, it's kind of high. But it depends on what you want to do. If some people just want to get to status or whatever. But Navy Fed, I would definitely pay them. That's just me. I love them. I would pay them. But sometimes, you just got to pick and choose on, what's best to your situation. But I love Navy Federal. I say everybody pay Navy Federal. I say your local credit unions, they have good relationships. Pay them folk. Pay them. So that's me. Never pay a penny to a collection agency. I can see that, and I really wouldn't blame a person who don't want to. But I will say, have I had to pay a collection agency when I didn't want to? Yeah, I did. And let me tell you where you might have to. If you're closing on a home, if y'all don't know, they have something called a trigger list. When you go and look for a home loan, you'll see all these collections pop out the blue right before closing or right where you can't. And you know what? They done got me a time or two. And I had to pay them in order to close. Because some banks are not going to let you close with open accounts like that. So sometimes they get you like that. And whether you want the asset or you caring about, the collection, reporting on your credit report. So that's why I said sometimes everything ain't a one size fit all. If it come down to you getting a property that's at a value, you might have to go on and pay. They got me. You know what I'm saying? Because I needed it to close. So that's why I said you use all of this information to tailor your situation. If you're a person at that 3 days out closing and they hit you with that, you might have to swallow that because you ain't got time. You know what I'm saying? But because that have happened to me. I ain't gonna lie to you. I wouldn't lie to you. That happened to me. I had to pay them folks with all that I know. I just knew I didn't want to lose the deal. So sometimes you just have to go with what's best for you. You know what I'm saying? So that's just one thing. How much time is reasonable? Come back again, Mr. Taylor, on that. I don't complete that question. They sold to FBL, Sherry. Who did? Who sold to FBO? Dad, mix it, please. Yes, I'm sorry. I had to put all of that together. What about when you have different information on all 3 credit reports? You want to dispute whatever is inaccurate. That's what you want to do. So dispute the account and attack all that information that's incorrect with each bureau, sending it to them because you're not sending it all to one spot. So deal with each credit bureau separately with their information. And with my elite credit system, that's how it's sent out. It deals with each information for that account according to that credit bureau to dispute that. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this up, you guys. I hope I got as many questions. I don't want to make this too elongated. If you guys have questions and if this is valuable to do lives, I'll probably come and start doing some maybe once a month. But Kevin said, I have an EIN and establish an LLC with my Dun and Brad. What's best course of action? You could just use your own name, and you could just, if you want to build business credit, just to start to building. Like honestly, I keep telling y'all, you're gonna have to PG unless you making tons of money, and gonna have the person guarantee that. So you can start with that LLC, um, showing, establishing that you got income. It like that's another thing. That's why I was saying like using your personal name, because a lot of times if you have your personal name, you actually have a job, you got W-2s, and you got, income in your own name. When you have LLCs and businesses, C corp, X corps, you got to show you making money. You know what I'm saying? You have to pretty much show like you're making money. You got to have a lot of times documentation some kind of way if you're just going off of that LLC. So the best course of action, do you have income? If not, you're gonna PG that. So that it all depends on what's your structure too, you guys, when it come down to business credit. How, and I don't want to bulk this down. Go to my elite credit system. I'll give you guys just a tip. When it comes to where people say a business, what type of business do you have? And when you're establishing businesses like cannabis business, say even truck driving, say general contractors, not every company want to deal with you. Just like with me, anything that's credit repair, nobody's touching that. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's touching that. Banks don't like that. So it's not just having a LLC. A lot of times, what are you doing in business? That's number one. What type of business you have, and are you making income? How much time have you been in business? Some banks want to see that you've been making a certain monthly amount. Like they might want to see annual income of 60 grand a year, 5,000 a month. So when you have a business, you want to work from the type of business plus how much income and how much time you've been in business, what those factors is, and then work out to find out who will lend to you. Because when business credit, it's a lot of nuances to that. What type of business do you, like I said, truck drivers and general contractors, a lot of, after the 2008, cannabis is very, tricky. Even consulting, a lot using that title with financial services and da da da. You want to be careful what you establish your name as. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of banks be like, we don't do that. So that's the way you want to do that. So, all right. So hopefully this is a lot of information. It was helpful. And like I said, I'll be doing in the elite credit system, I'll be doing live, and we'll have a personal Facebook group. It's going to be private. And if you have questions or information, like I said, I can do more lives, and I will find out. I'm going to have to, with my StreamYard, collect directly to my modem. So I hope you guys are, it was helpful. And if you have more questions, you can always submit them at my website, and they go directly in my cell phone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining me and your patience. I really appreciate you guys. So stay blessed and be safe. Bye-bye.